Welcome back, everybody, to the Blazer Victory Podcast, episode number 59. This is your co-host, John Duncan, and I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Steve Irvine. And, guys, our Blazers were able to get the victory over those Louisiana Tech Bulldogs 52-38 Saturday morning. And, Steve, it might not have always been pretty, but it's always sweet to beat those guys from Ruston and beat them by double digits nonetheless. It was a sweet feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's all that matters is what the final scoreboard says, and you can nitpick this and nitpick that, but what matters most is you walk out there with a win, and it was a convincing win. I mean, it was a win that could have been three scores. Ended up being two scores, but could have been three, and real easy, and a lot of good things happened, and it's just good to, it's good to not only win, but it's good to knock them out of any chance of making bowl eligibility, and make them unhappy. That's always fun.
Yes, sir. And hey, also UAB becomes bowl eligible. Yeah, getting to 6-3 now. So, there was a time. I mean, it's still a good feeling to be bowl eligible, of course. But we've kind of got championships on our minds. So that's kind of what we always go for. But hey, man, it's still always great to get that sixth win and become bowl eligible.
It is, but it is funny how it's just such a given now. You don't even really think too much about it. It's if you think about it, it is really nice for that to happen. But that was almost the last thing on your mind after this thing. So
right.
But it is, yeah, it's good. It's good to have that and know that you're going to be eligible again and playing another bowl game.
Yes, sir. Another time, man. It's just, great, like we said, to get a double-digit win over La Tech. Always good to beat them. And really, it really should have been, a 21-point win also. But Clark did put some of the second and third string guys in for that last drive against Louisiana Tech offense that, they were able to score. But, man, we've just got to start talking about UAB's offense and the performance in particular that Dwayne McBride had against Louisiana Tech. I mean, Steve, honestly, I didn't even realize his numbers until I looked at the box score after the game. And, man, 14 carries, 210 yards, and 4 touchdowns. My goodness. McBride was in beast mode, Saturday at Protective.
Yeah, and, the amazing thing is there's a lot of amazing things. But, one amazing thing is, I mean, it only took him 14 carries. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, to think that you have that kind of production on just 14 carries, and and he didn't come in 100%. I mean, he was that ankle is still an issue. It's certainly obviously a less issue than it would have been last week. I mean, Close Clark even said that he doesn't know if he would have played last week, and actually he probably wouldn't have played last week. But that's why the bye week came at such a great time, and he was healthy enough, out there. And it's funny. I watched him, he didn't play the first 2 or 3 series, at least 2. And he came out and had 1 carry, and then he came right off. And I watched him on the sideline, and he was kind of, testing the ankle. You could tell he's not like running type thing, but he was just sort of flexing it and looked a little uncomfortable. And then, it kind of worried me. I thought, oh man, that, he's not going to be able to go. And, obviously I was wrong on that, but I think he was, I think he had to convince himself that, hey, it's fine. I think he's just not to the point yet that, an injury like that's gonna not affect him. I think that there's certain guys, obviously Spencer, we're so used to a guy that's just gonna carry the ball, play after play, get banged up and just ignore it and that type of stuff. And, I don't know that McBride's quite to that. And I know he's not quite to that point yet. He will be, it just takes, guys are built different. I think, we're used to not only Spencer, but we're used to Jordan Howard was the same way. He just got stronger as the game went and could carry the ball a lot of times. And, I don't know. I don't think McBride's quite there yet. But when he does have the ball in his hands, man, he's incredible. I mean, he had he had the one touchdown run. I think it was his fourth one. I don't remember. You know, they all kind of.
Yeah.
But he had two guys hit him with good hits.
And a face mask. Yeah.
Good. Well, that was the early one, but the one
Oh,
it
that's
was
right.
later. But he had good. They had good hits and good form and good. You know, I mean, it was just like they did everything right, and he didn't even slow down. I mean, you know, he was just like, oh my goodness, you know, this is, you know, and he was just running through people, and how many times did he look stopped, and I mean, there was one time that he got I think it was in the second half, and he got about a 10-12 yard gain, and he got hit about 4 yards in, and I thought he was on the ground because there was a couple guys that ended up on the ground. There was a blocker that was on top of him, and I thought he was underneath all that. And about 8 yards past it, there was another little scrum. I thought, okay, well, they're just blocking and they're just doing the thing. So, and then I hear David Crane say, that's like a 10-yard gain. I'm like, what do you mean 10-yard gain? He's laying right there for you, and he was all the way down. I thought he was down. I mean, I really did. I thought he was underneath the pile there, and that's just. I mean, it was amazing. I mean, I'd never seen a guy run through so many tackles and not slow down.
Right.
You know, you see guys break tackles all the time. I mean, you see great backs break tackles all the time, but there were times where he didn't even slow down. And, and it was an amazing day. And honestly, that's what we've been waiting on.
Yes.
He's shown a lot of, glimpses of that in not just this year but last year, and he's had some good games this year and good games last year, but we were waiting for that one we saw yesterday is kind of what we've been waiting on, and hopefully he's going to build on that. We'll see. Hopefully he'll get to a point, maybe hopefully by the end of this year where he can carry the ball 25 times a game, because I think if you do that with him, you're gonna have a lot of success, if you can give him the ball a little bit more. I do think they do a great job of keeping him fresh and keeping him limited, because I think that they obviously know him a lot better than we do. And it's easy to sit in the stands, it's easy to sit in the booth, it's easy to sit wherever and go, man, you've got to get him the ball more. But what you got to remember is, you don't think they know that? You don't think they would love to give him the ball 40 times a game? I mean, just watch what he did last night, and that they would love to do that. But they know him so well, and they know what he's capable of, and they know, his health and just different things. So they're going to get it to him, as many times as they can. But you just can't feed a guy, and that's where we've been spoiled. Yes. We've been spoiled with Spencer Brown, where you can just, in a big game, obviously, just feed him the ball and he's just going to get better and better. Certainly, saw the same thing with Jordan Howard. I mean, we had that, I always think back to that drive in 14 when Jordan Howard was playing running back, and they're playing FAU to try to drive down for a game-winning field goal, which they got with Ty Long. And they honestly it was basically they would come to the line of scrimmage, and they would look across the line of scrimmage, and they would say, all right, this guy right here, he's going to get the ball, and he's going to run right there. You can't stop him. I mean, they didn't even try to trick him. I mean, they just kept running the same thing over and over, and they couldn't stop him. Yes. And Spencer had a few games like that. And so, Dwayne McBride's going to have plenty of games like that. And yesterday was one of them. And again, the amazing thing to me was it took 14 carries. I mean, 14 carries, and he had that kind of production. I mean, that's, that's amazing. So we'll, going forward, it's going to be, obviously going to be fun to watch. And I really think that he's going to build off that, because I think he does have that, that kind of mentality, I think when, because he runs so hard and he runs so, just so angry, that I think, when he can get to the point where his endurance is a little better, it's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, for sure. And My season seats are on the other side, on the visitor side. And Steve, it was just hilarious seeing that Louisiana Tech defense coming off the field, and they kind of had that look in their face, like, you've got to be kidding me. Like, they just
Yeah.
could not tackle him, man. Like,
No,
just
they
all
couldn't.
day, crazy good game from McBride. And you go back to the Rice game too. Like, he had 8 carries, but it was almost 100 yards with just 8 carries. So
Right.
McBride is showing, with just a little sample size right now what he can do. But goes back to what you were saying. Can you imagine if we can get him, 20 carries, man, this guy's going to set records or break records in this program.
Right. Oh, absolutely. I mean, he's certainly capable of that. I mean, there's no doubt he's capable of that. And again, last night was what we kind of expected out of him coming in this year. We
Yeah.
expect a little more of that. But what we didn't know is we didn't know, and we really didn't ask. We just kind of assumed that he could take over the same workload that Spencer Brown took.
Yeah.
And that was kind of short-sighted of us, because not everybody can do that. And again, he's got all the ability in the world. He's probably got more ability than Spencer. Really, is probably just pure ability, even though Spencer's pretty darn good. But not just guys are built different, and sometimes it's maybe you cramp up a little easier than other guys. Sometimes it's maybe you're a little you have a nagging ankle injury or something, or sometimes your wind or your endurance is not quite there where you can carry, because that tires you out now. I mean,
Yeah.
even guys like Spencer who never looked tired. I mean, I guarantee you, when they went in that locker room, they just kind of melted, just kind of melted onto wherever their seat was, just because it's just, the adrenaline keeps you going, but at some point your body goes, man, I'm tired, this I'm tired and I'm beat up, and so we assumed that he could do that, and that's silly to assume that, but I do think that with each outing in which he's outing like this, that he could, and honestly, I thought he probably could. He looked fairly fresh. I mean, he looked fresh last night. And if it would have been one of those games where they really, really needed him there, at the end, then he probably would have been in there and doing well. But it's just, I go back to, I think they're doing a great job of picking the spots for him, and it helps that you've got some versatility there with Jermaine Brown, and with Lucius. It was great to see him get that touchdown, and Larry Wood comes in, and he's a guy who can catch the ball in the backfield. He's a guy who can pass block and pass protect and that type of thing. So it helps that they're able to do some different things with everybody, and that way it's a lot easier to keep him fresh. But it would be nice, at some point in his career, whether that be next week or whether it be down the road, where you come out of a game where he carries the ball, 25, 26, 30 times a game and just pounds away. That's going to be fun to watch when that happens.
Yeah, and we might need that one of these next 2 games for sure.
Yeah.
Speaking of that,
yeah, I'm thinking that'd be great timing, for him to develop into that, right now, because there's not only 2, there's 3 tough ones coming up here to end this thing and try to get in that championship game. And so, it'll be nice to see, but it is also nice to have, really capable guys with him back there, obviously with Jermaine, and, is Jermaine so versatile and just can do so many things, and, hurt you in different ways.
I'm glad you brought up Stanley, because it was great seeing him bust that 38-yarder towards the end of the game. It was great seeing him bust that, because Stanley, they all worked their tails off, and Clark even said his post game presser that all those backs had been practicing hard all week, because they held McBride out really, I think, until Thursday, just to make sure that he was ready for Saturday. So definitely got to give kudos to those other guys in the backfield for sure. And, you definitely did. So great. But it definitely was great to see Stanley get that 40-yard touchdown. But I tell you what, though, another guy who busted one was, and I think this has to be, the play of the game, was Kyle Greenwell man, on the
Yeah.
fake punt, man, the
Yeah.
16-yard. I said, man, they need to put him in the backfield.
Yeah. Yeah. And it was funny talking to Coach Clark after the game with the people who heard us, in an interview. And I asked him, I said, when was the last time you faked a punt? And he's like, it's been a long time. I don't think he ever has at UAB. I don't remember it. I
Yeah.
haven't gone back to really look, but I don't remember it. But he said that when, he just felt like it was time, that there was something needed to happen. And he said he went to Heath Thomas, the special teams coordinator,
Mm-hmm.
just before that. And he said, what do you think about faking a punt here? And he said, Heath Thomas said, what? Are you kidding? Like, are you serious? I mean, It was just like it really, it shocked him that coach was saying that. And he's like, now it's time. And the thing is, the thing is all great coaches or all good coaches are like this is,
Mm-hmm.
Bill, Coach Clark is, doesn't use a fake punt. It just hadn't happened, I don't like I said, since he's been at UAB, but they practice it every day.
Yeah.
So they're ready. It's not like, it's not like they just all of a sudden go, okay, we need to fake it. Hey, let's draw this up in the dirt. I mean, they had it, they practice it every day and they're ready for it. They just hadn't used it. And so, he said, let's do it. And, great call. And the block by Jacoby Jones was
pancaked the guy.
Oh, it was incredible,
Yes.
And really, if he just kind of chips him there and misses him, and even if he just slows him down, that doesn't work. I mean, he had to make a block like he made to have that thing work. And they give Greenwell a lot of credit. He really looked athletic on the play, and made a great play. But the block in there, not just by Jacoby Jones, his just stood out because it was so good. But
right.
Everybody was well blocked. It was well executed. It was well sold. I mean, it was just fun to watch. And obviously had been on the other side of that against Rice, and it frustrates you and it deflates you. I mean, it really does. You have them stop there, and this thing is you got all the momentum in the world, and you're getting ready.
Because Tech was already up 21-7, and we're about to punt it. And I mean, that was the momentum shift right there.
Yeah, you're getting ready to blow this thing out of here if you don't watch out. And and they again, the call came at the right time. The execution was tremendous, and it was fun. It was a fun moment, no doubt about that.
Yes. Well, another guy, there were several guys that stood out on the offensive side of the ball, but I was really impressed with Rajay Johnson-Sanders. Just a couple critical catches. The first one on the opening drive obviously was the 60-yard pass or whatever. But after that had, another 40-yard catch. Just great to see him, not only making catches, but making moves in open field, showing that speed off. I mean, we all knew, going back to when we recruited him, Steve, that, everything was there. But it was just great to finally see him, actually, produce. And that's not to say he hasn't produced all year. You go back to the Liberty game, obviously. Well, I mean, we hate to talk about that touchdown that got called back, but, he's made plays before in the season. But it was just great to see him make a couple big plays that, UAB really needed in this ball game against Louisiana Tech.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think he's really played well, and when he gets an opportunity, and that was a big play. And I'll tell you what I loved about that second one. The first one was key to the whole game. To me, it was one of the biggest plays of the game because it came on third down, and it was the first two downs had been bad.
It was third and long. It was like third and 10 or third and 9.
Yeah, and he just takes that and gets good blocking and makes a play. But the second one, what I love so much was so often on that play, your mindset is to get to the sideline and try to make a big play on the sideline. So you're trying to get to the edge. The play was blocked for him to cut it up. But again, your instinct a lot of times is, man, I got to get to that edge and get a big play out of this. But instead of doing that, he took what was blocked, and I know that sounds silly in a way, but it's not. I mean, sometimes you get caught up out there, and you're just trying so hard to make a play. You think in your mind, okay, this is how I have to make the play, and you sort of miss sometimes it's blocked. And I thought Trey Shropshire did a great job of making a block on the outside, and he made a great cut to get up and a great quick cut. Not. I mean, there was no hesitation. Boom, he's in that. He cuts and he's gone. And I thought that was key. I mean, again, it sounds silly, but it isn't. I mean, because you've got to take what's there,
Right.
so I thought he did a great job on that one. I also thought that I like what they did with TJ Jones, a couple times. One, give him that toss out of the backfield like they did with Kendall Parham.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I like that they kind of put that into their arsenal a little bit and need to find ways to get him the ball because I think he is a dynamic playmaker,
He is.
if possible, if he can get him the ball. So there was a few things that little wrinkle type things that I liked what they did, and hopefully they keep doing them.
Definitely. Now, Dylan Hopkins, the stats ended up being 12 of 19, throwing the ball for 182 yards. I did have the one pick. And Steve, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I hadn't talked with you about this, but during the game, I was thinking, when he was struggling early, I was like, in fact, I said it to, a couple of my buddies around me that we might have to put Tyler in because Dylan, was obviously kind of struggling early on, but I'm glad they kept him in because he showed, especially in that second half, making good reads, throwing the ball, but also just on the ground, man, that touchdown run he had, you could just tell that, the whole team was behind him after. Yeah, I mean, they've always been behind him, but I was so glad that Clark didn't switch to Tyler. Because, I was just so proud of Dylan and how he, just played, especially in that second half in the ball game.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with that. I mean, I think that he struggled. He struggled throwing the ball all night. I mean, he just, he just was high a few times, and I don't know what happened on the interception. I'm not sure, if the wind caught it or
yeah,
he didn't get hit or anything. I'm not sure what happened, but if he gets that ball out there, he's got a big gain. But I do think that he, I don't know. I think that he showed his competitive ability.
Yeah.
And I think that was key. I mean, I think he showed that he's very competitive. The touchdown run and then another run he had later were competitive runs. I mean, they weren't just like, hey, I'm open and I'm going to run this and get a big gain. I mean, those were competitive runs. So I mean, I like what he did, and I like the fact, as much as I love Tyler Johnson and think that he's a great quarterback and has done a lot of great things, I like the fact that they didn't make the change last night because it's almost like a quick hook, and it's almost like you're, as a team, you're sort of looking over your shoulder, like, okay, what are we gonna do now? We're struggling a little bit with him in there.
Yeah.
With if they struggle down the road, I think you have to, they've chosen Dylan as being the guy in this team, barring no injury.
Right.
So I think it was a solid choice not to make a quick hook change there, and again, and that's nothing against Tyler Johnson because
no,
I'm one of his biggest fans. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and I've over and over said that. But I think that they've chosen Dylan as their guy, and you got to stick with it. You got to stay with it, and so I liked, I didn't, overall didn't necessarily. I mean, I didn't like the way he threw the ball, for the most part last night, but the guy's, he's competitive and he still makes some. Even when he's struggling a little bit, there's still balls that he puts in there that makes a nice play or nice read, and so you grow from everything, and he's going to grow from yesterday, and it's great that you can grow after a convincing win. I mean,
right?
You're not struggling a little bit and having to go, man, I struggled and we lost. I mean, you're struggling a little bit and you still win by 2 touchdowns and it wasn't even that close, then it's that's fine. That's how you learn and that's how you grow.
Definitely. Well, let's talk about UAB's defense. Did give up 38 points, but only gave up 346 total yards, 150 on the ground. That was a little puzzling just because, La Tech really hasn't been able to run the ball that well all season. So it was a little shocking to see them, not only run the ball well, but came out like in 12 personnel. Like they said they were going to run the ball, and they ran the ball pretty much the whole game. And I believe they're back. The guy from App State,
Marcus
18
Williams.
carries. Yeah, 18
Yeah.
carries for 81 yards. So, I mean, he had a pretty good day.
Yeah, he was
But
good. He was good.
granted, UAB still has a few guys that are out on that defensive line. So
Yeah, they do. But and Coach Clark even admitted afterwards that a lot of it was them doing stuff that they hadn't done before. He said
yeah,
he said the tendency for them has been run the ball on first down and then pass.
hmm
And they were going with run or run pass type thing, and it took them a while to adjust to that. And also not only to adjust to it, but to believe it. Like
right.
a lot of times they might do it a few times, and you're saying, okay, well, they're not going to do that again, but they kept doing it,
Yeah,
and so it's all an adjustment. I mean, it's the same thing. Every game you play, other than the games that you're just physically better up front, like if you're Georgia,
yeah,
it's always
right.
kind of the same thing. But every other game um, is an adjustment period. I mean, how many times did you have to adjust to Mason Fine? I mean, you say every
All
year
the
that
time.
happened.
Yep.
Every year, the first half against North Texas when Mason Fine was
hmm
just a nightmare because you got to adjust what they're doing, and then second half you're fine. And so I think that was a little bit of what was going on. But I think also, I mean, I think you're right. I think there's some injury stuff, and hey, you can't forget you played that first half without Noah Wilder,
That's right.
and
Yep.
his strength is that, even
Stopping
though
the
I
run.
thought
Yep.
I thought Charlie Benton really played well.
He did.
He stepped up, and the other thing is, not only did you not have Noah Wilder, but you also didn't have Deshaun Oliver for the whole game. He was hurt and out, and so you were without your two starting linebackers in the first half.
hmm
That's gonna be You're gonna have some issues, even if you got two good guys in there behind them, which you do with Tyler Taylor and Charlie Benton, and really three with Jalen Raham.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be an adjustment period. So yeah, it was surprising. I didn't see that. I didn't see that coming. But I think there were some reasons, and I think there is an opportunity to learn from it.
Yeah, and also with Tech too, having a starting quarterback as a freshman come in, that was another reason why too. I think they were trying to run the ball more just to help him out. And honestly, man, Head, their quarterback, he was 20-35 for almost 200 yards and a couple touchdowns. He looked, fairly decent, for a freshman quarterback. So give him some credit too. I'm glad you mentioned Charlie Benton. That was definitely going to be one of the guys that I mentioned to highlight on the defense. But special shout out to Antonio Moultrie, getting those 10 tackles. I believe he got a tackle quarter. Okay, he got credited with one quarterback hurry and a half of a tackle for loss. So good for Antonio Moultrie. You already mentioned Charlie Benton. Swoops played well as always. Kelly Sanders had a couple tackle for loss. I think Macario Stanley had one too. Yeah, he was credited with one TFL. So I mean, I feel like definitely, kind of what you said, Steve. Once Noah Wilder got in there in the second half too, kind of shut down that running game. So I guess the name of the game is try to get people healthy and hope that we don't get targeting called on us.
Well, yeah, that's important, and behave on third down.
Oh, do we have to
Is
talk about
important.
the?
Well, but you do. I mean that's part of it, and coach talked about it afterwards. I mean, basically, he talked that was part of their halftime talk that you've got to quit this. No matter what's
Mm-hmm.
happening to you on the other side, no matter what, whether you think it's a good call, bad call, we can't let that happen. And it did in
Yeah.
the second half. I mean, it did once, but it was late, but it was second half was a lot better, and
Mm-hmm.
it needs to continue to be a lot better,
Yes.
because you can't have that type of stuff happen. And again, it's you can't. There's nothing you can do about the bad calls.
Mm-mm.
The the call on Tyree Turner was terrible.
Yeah,
You know, I
terrible
mean,
call.
it was terrible cause. You know, he made a hard hit on the quarterback, and that's not allowed. Well, why not? You know,
And
I mean,
as the quarterback was throwing the ball to, it wasn't like he already got rid of it. Like he was letting go of the ball and
oh
got
yeah,
hit. So
yeah, it was bang bang. I mean, there's no doubt it was bang bang. But again, you can't. There's not much you can do about it. But you know, you can do something about ripping a guy's helmet off. You
yeah,
know,
even though the whistle was late, it was a late
well, it
whistle.
sure was. Yeah, but you still don't. You know, and you know, you can do something about getting getting your hand up in somebody's face is tough because you're battling in there, their hands up there, your hands up there.
Hmm.
That's a tough one. I mean, yeah, you can't let that happen, but sometimes it can't be helped, it happening. So not really as bothered by that, you know, but you can't keep extending drives and expect to win big games.
No.
I mean, it's going to bite you in these next three. You're going to have to be, sure, not going to be perfect, but you're not, you've got to be as close to it as you can, and
Hmm.
you can't do that. And again, that was a point of emphasis at halftime, and I thought they did a really good job. Did a lot better job of it in the second half.
Yeah, and I mean, but you just hit on it though. Like if UAB falls down quick, 21-7, just because of dumb penalties against these next two opponents, Marshall and UTSA, and especially with these two games being on the road, like when you're on the road, you're not going to get many favorable calls your way anyway. So
Right.
UAB is going to definitely. I mean, like you can't play perfect. I mean, you can try to play perfect, but you just can't make dumb penalties. And I'm sure the coaching staff is going to be getting on to, or going over the film, and a couple of those, hey, they were personal fouls. Like you said, you ripping the helmet off, even though the whistle was late, you still can't rip somebody's helmet off. They're going to call that either way. So hey, Clark, they're gonna work on it, because that we can't be doing that against these next three teams we play.
Yeah, and that's the thing is I've heard some suggest that they don't care about penalties and they shouldn't. I
No,
mean,
they care.
hey, they work hard at making this not happen and or preventing this, and they're just gonna have to get better about it, and I think they will,
Yes.
but it's just gonna have to happen.
Yes, definitely. Well, I think we hit on offense, defense, special teams. It was good to see Matt Quinn hit that 36-yarder. Really, special teams all night did well, except for the lone kickoff fumble. And I can't remember who did that, the up man. But
I think it was Lucius Stanley. I think it was
it was Stanley. Oh,
I think it was because it was they kicked the first two to him, and I think it was him.
might have been.
Um,
But other than that, I felt the special teams was phenomenal. Other than that fumble, you go back to the fake punt, field goal was good. Greenwell punting the ball was good when he had to punt. Really, every single one of his punts was good.
mhm.
Kickoff was good. So really, great for special teams. And great for the offense. Getting that run game going. It was great to see that offensive line opening up so many holes, not just for Dwayne McBride, but also for Stanley and Jermaine Brown. It was great to see that because that's what we said going into the season, Steve, is that this is what we expected out of this offensive line, returning everybody. But it was just great to see those holes, start to open up. And, Louisiana Tech, that's not a terrible defense. I mean, it's not a great defense, but it's not like, you're playing awful defense. But it was great to see those holes start opening up for the offensive line, and that's got to give them some confidence going into this last 3-game stretch.
Yeah, no, I think absolutely. And especially with kind of have the moving pieces there too.
Yes.
They had to switch in the fourth quarter. It might have been late third where Will Reichard got hurt, and they had to take the 89 jersey off. Off of Jacoby Jones playing that big role and go back into his 51. And it was so funny to watch on the sideline. I don't know if people even notice is, these days those jerseys are so hard to get off. I mean,
Oh, I bet. Yeah.
they literally had, I think, 4 or 5 managers trying to get that thing off of him there. And it was, it was kind of comical a little bit, but you know, they had
Nice.
to, you know, quickly get it off and get him, you know, into the role. And he's, you know, Colby Ragland was talking with us on the radio afterwards, and you know, I brought him up or brought that situation up, and he was just, you know, really praising Jacoby Jones for just his versatility. I mean, here's guys, you know, I think he's played every position, you know, in a prominent spot, you know, prominent times on that offensive line except center. You know, I mean, he's played left guard, left tackle, right tackle, and you
Hmm.
know, sometimes it's on the fly, sometimes it's with you know, with a week of work, and but he's always, you know, he always hits the ground running and plays well, and so you know, that's key. You know, and that's key to have that happen. You know, I still don't know what's going on. I mean, Sidney Wells has been out for a while now, and I don't know what's going to happen with him. You
Yeah.
know, right now they seem to be set with what they have, and you know, we'll see what happens with Riker going forward. And but you know, just the versatility they have up there is amazing, and it's great that these guys are all veteran guys that have been around each other for a long time. So they know what to expect out of each other, even if they're playing a little different position. They know what to expect out of each other.
Right. Well, guys, you know, we'll be back in just a couple days to get you ready for that big East matchup against Marshall in Huntington, West Virginia. But also, you know, on Friday, we dropped a special episode for you guys where Andy Kennedy took some time out to talk with me and, you know, just help preview this 2021-2022 UAB basketball team that they tip off Tuesday night in Bartow at 6:30 against UNC Asheville. So if you can, make it out to Bartow Tuesday night. They also play Friday and then Sunday. So there's a bunch of good games to go see UAB play this week. Because you're probably listening to this episode Monday morning, Monday evening, but definitely try to get out to Bartow and, you know, cheer on the men's basketball team if you can, because we expect to hopefully have a special season this year. But guys, you know, like I said, we'll be back in just a couple of days to preview this matchup in Huntington against the Marshall Thundering Herd. But as always, guys, go Blazers.